What if I told you that Mojtaba Khamenei, who was officially elected as the supreme leader of Iran, is actually not running the show? And on top of that, I happen to believe he's not even alive at this moment. I happen to believe that they elected a dead man as supreme leader. Which begs the next question: who the heck is running that country right now? The answer is the IRGC, which stands for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, and they have held most of the real power in this country pretty much since 1979, when the Islamic Revolution took hold under his predecessor's predecessor, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. The Ayatollah Khomeini passed in, I believe it was 2001, and then the official succession occurred as their constitution at the time said it should, with the election of a new supreme leader by the so-called Council of Experts, quote-unquote. A body of Islamic clerics who were appointed to this body. There's like 82 of them, I believe. And they elected Mujtaba's father, Ali Khamenei. Now, Ali Khamenei, of course, was killed by the United States and Israel a few weeks ago, and therefore was the procedure occurred again, where a new supreme leader was elected by the so-called Council of Experts, resulting in his son being officially elected to the position. However, Mujtaba Khamenei has not made a public appearance of any kind, has not been shown on national television, has not been shown on any media, has made no public appearances in person. The rumor that is sent out by somebody within the regime is that he is critically wounded and hospitalized and is in a hospital somewhere in Tehran. I am willing to take this a little bit further and put a bet down that he's actually not alive. He was actually killed in the same bombings that actually killed his father, Ali. Now, taking this a bit further here, let me explain who the IRGC is. The IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, was created in 1979 by the initial supreme leader, Ruhollah Khomeini. And this is a guard corps, a second military, whose loyalty was not to the country, but whose loyalty was to the supreme leader. It's very similar to what Nazi Germany had set up, in that the traditional army is called the Wehrmacht, which is the traditional army that came out of Prussian tradition and whose allegiance was to Germany itself. And then you've got the SS, the paramilitary or parallel military, whose allegiance was not to the country but to Hitler himself. Exactly the same setup as Iran today. Now, the SS, of course, was led by Heinrich Himmler, who had an immense amount of power himself. However, he was not the primary power in the country, of course, that being Hitler himself. And then beneath him, the second most important man in the Reich was not even Himmler in this case. It was, of course, Martin Bormann, the man who controlled access to Hitler and leveraged that to build a tremendous power base, subservient only to Hitler himself. The IRGC, their power was subservient only to Khomeini and later Khamenei. But after Operation Epic Fury killed, I believe, both Khomeinis, the power base flipped and the IRGC took over the vacuum that the loss of Ali Khamenei, and I also believe Mujtaba Khamenei, that left an obvious and clear vacuum, and they happily took it. Now, the IRGC has had tremendous control over the infrastructure and basically the physical backbone of the country since 1979. They were given all the government contracts to build infrastructure such as reservoirs, roads, freeways, and everything else. That was the IRGC that built the structure in the country. Their own headquarters was bombed by the United States and Israel in Operation Epic Fury. We have shot up every facility that we can find that belongs to the IRGC. And it is likely that process that took out the Khomeinis. We know Ali was killed. We don't have any proof about Mujtaba being killed or alive at this point. We have no proof of life regarding him either. So I believe that if he was as close to his father as you would think, that they were likely killed together. So technically, Iran is a necrocracy, which means that it is ruled by a dead man, just like North Korea is also. Because the initial founder of that country, Kim Il-sung, was actually named as the eternal president, which means that he was president from the dead. The same thing has happened in Iran. Although they won't admit it, they can't admit it. But the IRGC holds all the real power. They have a council of 3 men who basically lead and make all the decisions in the IRGC. And as a result, they rule the country at the moment. The elected president has nothing to say about anything. Iran has had elected presidents throughout its history. Some have been moderate and some have been absolutely insane. One of the more insane ones was in the early 2000s. That's Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. But before him was a more moderate guy named Mohammad Khatami. There's a president these days as well that was elected by the popular vote base. However, the IRGC has overruled him at every possible turn. He tried to apologize to the neighboring countries for being bombed by the IRGC, and the IRGC made him walk it back. And so he had to take that apology back. And Iran has gone on to bomb their neighbors repeatedly. Now, one of their neighbors, them and Iran, are at the center of the biggest divide in Islam. Iran, of course, belongs to the Shiite sect of Islam, and Saudi Arabia belongs to the Sunni sect of Islam. These two factions have been warring with each other for centuries now, since I believe around 400 AD. And the IRGC, of course, is Shiite. And they made their elected president walk back the apology because they believe that the Sunni Islams are heretics. And they believe that God will sentence them to hell. When you've got those types of beliefs involved in politics, it's never good. There's been a lot of blood over the centuries around this. So anyway, there you have it. My belief, and if I was a betting man, which I actually am, I am placing good money on Mujtaba Khamenei no longer being alive. He's basically a dead leader at this point. Was appointed as a figurehead to conceal the true power belonging to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC. So that's it for tonight. I'll have some other geopolitical thing tomorrow. I think I'm going to continue on this track for a while. And I will see folks tomorrow on Thursday. Peace out, homies.